People who suffer from insomnia often say that nights begin to blur together. Hours lose their meaning and time stops behaving normally. Yet across different countries and decades, some insomniacs have independently reported noticing the same precise moment during the night. Not a dream, not a hallucination, not a feeling, but a recurring event. According to these accounts, at exactly 3:17 a.m., something changes. The change is subtle at first, but once noticed, it becomes impossible to ignore. The most common description is silence. Not ordinary nighttime quiet, but a sudden absence of sound that feels unnatural. People report that background noises vanish simultaneously. Air conditioners stop humming, distant traffic disappears, electrical appliances fall quiet, and even insects seem to go silent at once. The silence does not fade in gradually. It arrives instantly, as if a switch has been turned off. For several seconds, and sometimes longer, there is nothing at all. What unsettles witnesses is not just the lack of sound, but the way the silence feels. Many describe it as heavy or pressurized, as if sound itself has been removed rather than muted. Some report a sensation in their ears similar to sudden altitude change, while others feel compelled to stop moving or breathing loudly. Several people have described the same thought occurring unprompted. The sense that movement would be noticed, not punished but observed, as if the silence is not empty but occupied. Reports of this phenomenon have come from homes, hospitals, hotels, and sleep clinics. In Germany, a nurse working overnight shifts documented repeated patient complaints that matched the same minute on the clock. At 3:17 a.m., sound level monitors continued functioning, but ambient noise readings dropped to zero briefly, before returning to normal. The equipment showed no malfunction. In Sweden, a woman reported losing mobile signal entirely during the silence, only for it to return moments later without explanation. In Canada, a man attempted to test the event by snapping his fingers. He reported that the sound felt swallowed, lacking echo or resonance, followed by the sudden return of all background noise at once. Animals appear to react as well. Multiple pet owners have reported dogs waking shortly before 3:17 a.m., refusing to enter certain rooms or staring at empty spaces during the silence. Cats have been observed freezing in place or flattening their ears without visible cause. These reactions often begin moments before the silence itself, as if the animals sense something approaching. No consistent explanation has been offered for this behavior. Attempts to explain the phenomenon have ranged from neurological micro-sleeps to atmospheric conditions and circadian rhythm distortions. While such theories account for individual perception errors, they fail to explain why witnesses describe the same timing, the same sensations, and the same impression of attention. One accidental audio recording captured during equipment testing showed a complete flattening of the waveform at 3:17 a.m., followed by a clean return. There was no distortion, no cut, and no background interference, just absence. Those who experience the silence often report that once they notice it, the event feels closer each night, more deliberate, as if the moment itself is aware of being observed. Some witnesses have described an additional change after repeated exposure to the silence. The first time it happens, it feels distant, almost abstract, like a strange curiosity. After several nights, the moment begins to feel closer in a way that is difficult to describe. People report waking shortly before 3:17 a.m., without setting alarms, often with a sense of anticipation they cannot explain. The silence no longer arrives unexpectedly. It feels awaited. Several individuals claim that during later occurrences, the silence seemed to respond to their awareness. Those who checked the clock too early reported the moment passing unnoticed, while those who avoided looking experienced a longer, heavier stillness. One man described the silence ending the instant he acknowledged it consciously, as if recognition itself caused the moment to collapse. Others reported the opposite, saying the silence lingered once they became fully aware of it. A small number of accounts describe something even more disturbing. These witnesses claim that during the silence, spatial perception subtly shifts. Rooms feel slightly larger or closer than they should be. Familiar spaces appear unfamiliar, not visually, but in the way distance is perceived. Sound returns normally, but the sense of space remains altered for several minutes afterward. No physical changes can be measured, yet the sensation is consistent across reports. There are also claims that the silence does not occur everywhere simultaneously. Some witnesses believe it moves, arriving first in one room and then another, as if passing through structures rather than blanketing entire areas. In apartment buildings, people on different floors have reported noticing the silence at slightly different moments, separated by seconds. This has led to speculation that the event is not environmental, but localized. Individuals who force themselves to speak, move, or make noise during the silence often reported an intense wave of unease afterward, followed by weeks of disturbed sleep. A few claim they never experienced the silence again, while others said it returned but felt colder, shorter, and more distant, as if withdrawing. No official studies exist, and no authority has acknowledged the phenomenon. It persists quietly, shared in online forums, private messages, and conversations that rarely last long. Most people stop talking about it after a while, not because it stops happening, but because describing it feels like drawing attention to something that prefers not to be noticed.